Hi friends, welcome to Cricket Fantasy Stats YouTube channel. So many of us play fantasy, and one mistake where normally most of the people do is like they don't know which player to choose and whom to avoid in a particular match and create the best winning teams to earn profits. So in this video we are going to see which players to be picked and which players to be dropped for the Scotland versus Ireland World Cup T20 qualifier match. So I always suggest you to create your own teams based on your stats and knowledge and the instinct rather than copy and paste teams which will end up or ruin your fantasy career. So this video has been prepared based on analyzing all the stats and knowledge of all the individual players of both the teams and has been made in a way suitable for players to be picked and players to be dropped in your fantasy teams. So first let's just review the Scotland team. Michael Jones, avoid him in both the innings. George Munsey has a terrific record while batting first and has a poor record while chasing. So when you're creating your fantasy teams and if Scotland is batting first, pick Munsey in your teams and while chasing, avoid him. Matt Cross, when you look at the wicketkeeper category, you have two options. One is Matt Cross and the other one is Tucker. So Matt Cross has a very good record while chasing and you can pick him when Scotland is chasing. Richard Berrington, the Scotland captain, and he also has a good record while batting second, and while batting first he can be avoided in your fantasy teams. And Callum McLeod, he has a very good average against Ireland while batting first, and if Scotland is batting first, he will be your trump card pick in this match and he needs to be in your fantasy team. And while chasing, you can avoid him in your fantasy teams. Michael Leask has a very poor record against Ireland and can be avoided in both the innings. Chris Greaves can also be avoided in both the innings. Mark Watt, while bowling first, can be dropped, and while bowling second, he has a good record against Ireland and he will be a trump card pick while bowling second. Shafan Sharif, he bowls normally in death and has a very good record against Ireland and he needs to be in your fantasy team when bowling first and can be avoided while bowling second. Bradwill. So Bradwill doesn't have a good head-to-head record, whereas when the Scotland is bowling first, he will be bowling at the death and has a possibility of taking wickets. While the second bowling, he has a very good record and needs to be in your fantasy teams. Josh Davy similarly has a good record in both the innings and he must be in your fantasy team in both the innings. So this is the overall preview of Scotland team's players of whom to pick in which innings and whom to drop in which innings. Now let's look at Ireland. Paul Stirling. Paul Stirling has a tremendous record against Scotland in both the innings, and he can be your captaincy choice in this match. Balberini, his current form is a big concern, but his record is looking good against Scotland in both the innings, and do not avoid him in your fantasy team in both the innings. Lauren Tucker. So, as we have discussed in the wicketkeeper section category, we have Tucker and Matt Cross. So, when Ireland is batting first, Lauren Tucker has a good record and needs to be part of your fantasy teams and can be avoided in the chasing. Harry Tector, the informed player of Ireland, and he needs to be in your fantasy teams when Ireland is batting first and can be avoided while chasing. So Garrett Delaney. Garrett Delaney has a very good record while chasing and while bowling first as well. So he has a knack of picking wickets in the while bowling first and has a numerous record while chasing. So when Ireland is chasing, he will be your trump card pick. Curtis Camphor. So Curtis Camphor normally doesn't bowl in the death, but would be a good pick when Ireland is bowling first. Similarly, when Ireland is bowling second, he can be avoided in their fantasy teams. George Dockrell. So many of them will be ignoring George Dockrell, but he possesses a very good record against Scotland, and he will be your trump card pick while second bowling. He has a very good record in while bowling second, and he will be your trump card pick if Ireland is bowling second. Mark Adair, so he will be a must pick in both the innings and has a very good record and bowls at the death and can be considered as a captaincy choice when Ireland is bowling first. Simi Singh can be avoided in both your innings. Barry McCarthy. So Barry McCarthy usually bowls at the death when bowling first and has a good record against Scotland when bowling first. So when Scotland is bowling, he will be your trump card pick and don't ignore him in your fantasy teams. Joshua Little. Joshua Little takes wickets in the power play with his movement and also bowls in the death and gives Ireland a good wicket taking bowler. So when Ireland is bowling first, he has to be in your fantasy teams and can be avoided when he has bowling second. Now let's look at the captaincy choices for this match. Paul Stirling, when both the innings, he has a very good record and can be considered as a captaincy choice in this match. And Joshua Little and Mark Adair can be considered as a captaincy choice when Ireland is bowling first. Hope this preview helps you on which player to choose and whom to avoid in the first innings and the second innings. And I wish you to create the best winning teams based on this stats. Please like our channel, share it and subscribe it, and press the bell icon to receive notifications. Thank you. Goodbye.